Hey, Brad. I guess generally, how did you feel about the 8 players that you added to your organization over the weekend?
The staff is real excited about it. Not unlike any other draft day. There's some players that we were hoping that we were going to be in a position to pick and that we targeted. As we talked about last night, especially today, I think it was so unpredictable how things were going to go. We talked last night about what I thought would be some volatility and lots of pick movement. We saw that. But all in all, the group's happy. The reality is now you wait. Everybody's happy on draft day. So now we'll wait for a period of time for these players to go through the development process. They'll be turned over to the development team now, and they'll start their process to becoming NHL players. And there's a lot of long runway guys here. So time will tell, but the staff feels good about the last 2 days.
I guess just as a bit of housekeeping, I know qualifying offers are due on Monday. Is there anything you can share about the process or any players that you're not qualifying as of yet?
Yeah, we'll share that on Monday. Is the information? That's what I'll share today.
Okay, we'll go to Aaron Vickers next.
Just a quick one for me, Brad. You touched on the unpredictability. How do you evaluate what you saw in terms of that unpredictability, and is it comparable to anything you've sort of dealt with before at the draft?
Well, it wasn't totally unusual. There's just you saw today there was a lot of trade activity, right? So you got guys that you may see somebody later in the draft, middle of the draft, that you want to jump up and get. So you saw quite a bit of pick movement. We did it. You get to a certain part of the draft where you got a group of teams in a ledge and you move down and grab a pick and feel comfortable with the group of players that you have. So that probably was just a little bit more today because there's some quite frankly, there's players that didn't play, so you didn't know where they were going to go. We had one of those cases. We had a player ranked fairly high. We felt very strongly that if he played this year, that he'd be a top second round pick. Probably is where we had him slotted. We know that the work he's put in the pause and even where his body's developed from where you see his listed size to where he is today. So those types of situations, everybody had a few of those, and so I think that what that caused is a lot of pick activity and move up and move down situations, and in some cases you had teams short of picks that were just trying to, you get a bunch more swings at the plate. So not completely out of left field, but I think some of that's dictated by the season we just went through.
Danny, you have any other questions?
Yep. Sorry. Brad, just speaking with Todd, I did ask him. Obviously, you guys only took one guy from the OHL. Was there additional confidence that you had in picking guys who had actually played this year and you guys have been able to see in competitive situations?
Well, I think you're always the word you use, confidence. I don't know if it's confidence. You feel you've got viewings on them, right? We certainly had some OHL guys in spots, and maybe they had gone, or maybe a player that we had there, fell ahead of them, or what have you. But there was certainly a lot of work done. It wasn't a situation where we were scared off, but certainly when you have players that you've seen and you've had live viewings on, and you've seen the progression over the year. You feel probably a little bit better about that, but there was a lot of picks, and I think you're going to see players that were picked today. And I'll use our guy as an example. I'll use a few others that went in, were gapped up on us in terms of going through a gap, that we think are going to be real good players. And unfortunately, they didn't get to play. I feel horrible for those kids that didn't get to, have that experience during their draft year. But those good players will. The good players will always rise to the top, and there'll be a lot of people, I think, next year at this time going, geez, this guy got picked there when he's this type of player. So it'll be interesting to follow the progression of this draft.
Thank you.
Okay, next question will go to Haley.
Brad, I apologize, it's not directly draft related, but on Thursday, you guys acquired Tyler Pitlick from the Seattle Kraken. What does he bring to the table for your group?
Tyler's a real versatile player. He's a right shot. He can play up and down the lineup. He does a lot of heavy lifting. Excellent penalty killer. For the most part of his career is sort of been a guy who thrives in defensive situations. Can play in a matchup role. Can play against other teams' better players. Brings a skill set. With foot speed. Top forechecker, penalty killer, can play two positions. So there's some versatility to him. It's a player that we've had on our radar for a while. Trying to strengthen and deepen our right wing position. But we think he's a guy that, you look at the places he played, he's been a valuable player to, no slight to Tyler, but I know he's probably not the sexiest name, but he's a player that has earned the coach's trust wherever he's been and has been an important player, down late in the game, important defensive zone face-offs, key defensive zone situations, penalty killing, and just plays with a lot of speed, plays with a lot of length and reach. And so we think he gives us some, he helps improve us in those areas.
You mentioned strengthening the right wing position. Are there any other areas that you're specifically looking to boost during this kind of period here with free agency opening on Wednesday?
Well, we've got, specifically there's a couple places. Obviously our defense is an area with the loss of Gio. Again, we've got some young people coming. We've got to sort of go through that process. But I said, generally speaking, Haley, throughout our roster, we're gonna try to look at a lot of things, and it may not happen in a day or 2 days, but between now and the puck drop, that's the goal. And whether that be through the trade market, free agency, or otherwise, that's the challenge. You've got a lot of people looking at the same players, and we've got to find a way to help our group. So we're gonna look at all the avenues in front of us here over the course of, like I said, free agency opens this week. The trade market, we've gone through, two sort of deadline periods here with the expansion draft behind us now, with the entry draft behind us. So our focus now, turns to free agency and the trade market and how we upgrade our roster.